That's what we mean by long term.
Okay.
Okay, so
Excellent.
yeah, we have a little ways, just we're almost out of time, but I
Okay.
wanted to share with you two things. First, we were going to talk about marriage. So it's a new beginning for the stock market, and I thought it's a new beginning for people to join up and get married,
Mm-hmm.
a new
Mm-hmm.
year, that kind of thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to talk about that thing with regard to finance. And so I'm going to say, with regard to finance and getting married, plan, talk about it. You have to talk about everything. Talk about your finances, talk about how you feel about them, talk about everything. You got to do that. I called up my friend Regina. She's going to be on our show in February or March. We get to determine when that's going to be. That's
Okay.
one of her big topics. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's a woman who was married to an ex football star, had a great future, lost it all because they didn't
Mm,
plan, right?
mm.
And Regina tells me when I said to her, "What's the most important thing you would say to somebody?" She, of course, said that marriage is not 50-50.
I would
She
agree.
Yeah, she says marriage is 100-100. And then the second thing she says, 100% and 100% from each of you, 100 and 100.
Right.
And she said, know everything about your partner, especially their debt and how that affects you. And then she said, here in Orange County, where we live, one of the biggest problems that people have when they get married, one of the things they fight over is money. So
Mm,
it's a big deal,
yeah.
right? It's a big deal. And I'm just going to add to that um, I used to work for the Vanguard Group
Mm-hmm.
on the phone. People would call me, talk to me about their issues, and lots of times widows or widowees would call, and they would be left with what their spouse had set up for them,
Mm-hmm.
and they knew nothing about it. This is another one
Yeah.
of those don't be that guy, right?
Yeah.
The last person you want to talk to when you don't know anything about what your finances are supposed to look like is some guy on a phone at a financial advisor at a wirehouse. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the person that takes care of the money, if you have that arrangement, make sure the other person knows where everything is, how to get to it, and what to do with it, right?
Yeah.
If you're the person that's going into that situation, make sure you know where everything is, how it works, and what to do with it, right? Don't be that person that's leaving it up to someone else and then getting yourself surprised by a money issue when you don't have to be.
And
That's,
I would even add something else to that because a lot of you're retired and maybe you lose a spouse.
yeah,
Um and of course they need to have wills in place so that things don't go into probate. But I also think that if one of the either husband or wife, especially the wife, if their spouse has died, they need to make sure they share that with a responsible child um
yes,
in the family, because a lot of times and is I think this is on our list of topics, the amount of fraud that takes place with
yeah,
seniors that are not aware of all of their financial situations, and they're easily the wire guy at the
yes,
wire
yes,
house can have a
yes,
conversation, but also some Joe Blow off the compute off the internet because they're brand new to that. They've been
hmm,
relying on their husband to take care of their financial circumstances, but no one else in the family knows. None of the
right,
other children that could help them. And you have to be leery of some kids, but at least find someone that's their trusted advisor that they can go to and say, this sounds a little fishy, but I'm not quite so sure. Um, I think that's important as well. And I think as well, Javon, them reaching out and having conversations with someone that they can trust, their financial advisor, so that they don't make unsound decisions based upon someone else, you know, flim-flamming them, if for a better sense of the word, because that happens a lot with seniors.
yeah. I think you're absolutely correct, and I think enough advisors don't do that. One of the taglines that my wealth manager, I have a wealth manager that I work with. One of the
Mhm.
taglines he uses is, "Do you trust your advisor enough to get a second opinion from another advisor?" Right.
Mhm.
So just like with doctors, when we say you want to go to two, three, maybe even four doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can get a good opinion. You want to do the same with financial advisors because we're not all the same. And I would tell you this, if you put 10 financial advisors in a room and you each give them one scenario, the same scenario,
Mm-hmm.
there's a very good chance that you'll get 10 different answers as to how
Mm-hmm.
to get there. And they're not all wrong, they're all just different,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to find the one that works for you, the one that makes sense for you. So your point is extremely well taken. Get a second or third opinion, and that's okay. And if it costs you a little bit of money to do that, $100 or so, that's okay. Any advisor will be happy to do that for you.
No, I
Any
think
advisor.
sound advice because you spend all that time, with your with your retirement plan, and now you're ready. Now you're retired, and you lose a spouse, you lose your confidant. Someone else comes along, sees you as a prey, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, all of your livelihood is now trashed, thrown
Yes.
away because you had no clue where your money was. And then you
Right.
start trusting the wrong person
Right.
because that
Which,
person
yes.
may have the wherewithal and the
Yes.
knowledge to start asking you very pointed questions, doing his
Mhm.
own assessment or
There you
hers.
go. Yes. 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 Very
and,
true.
and
Very
next
true.
thing you know, you're living in the street.
There you go. There you go. Yes, it happens all the time, especially now. It happens now, So,
Yes.
I mean, we as advisors go through ethics training and all that kind of good stuff so that we don't do that, but you can't legislate morality. You just can't.
And I think on a future show, maybe we should talk about that, how to pick the right financial advisor for yourself.
Yeah.
In addition to, I think, what do you look for? What are the questions that you ask? How much do you divulge? So I think that could be one of our topics in the future is how to select and choose that. I mean, I go, as an accountant and and I am consultant and a business coach for small businesses. I tell my clients, here's what you should be asking me, because if I'm going to come in and do your books, I'm going to see everything. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I'm gonna know everything about you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
know exactly your spending habits, your weak spots, your strengths, your all of that sort of stuff. So you want to make sure that that person that you're going to providing all of this very personal information is someone that's reliable and trustworthy and ethical and has a
You
strong
know,
moral sense of
sure.
barometer.
Yeah. 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 You know, I'll just say that you are spot on. I'm not the right advisor for everybody, right?
Hmm.
I'm just not. I think differently. I have different goals. I think differently than a lot of people think. Some people think I'm a great advisor because I
Hmm.
help them get through where they need to go. And some people think, but you know, I don't want you touching my money, right? So yeah, you have to find the right advisor for you. You know, you've got to ask yourself some great questions. Are you a Christian? Are you Muslim? Do you care about that? Is that important? Are you old? Are you young? Are you black? Are you white? Are you green? Are you a woman? Are you a male? Where do
Hmm.
you feel comfortable, right? Because we're all different. And it doesn't mean that we're wrong. It just means that we may not be right for you. So you have to ask those questions, and we'll definitely talk about that because it is something that, as you so aptly pointed out, you're going to get naked in front of that person. So you want to figure out who it is that you're getting naked in front of and be comfortable with that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think that's
very
very
good.
important. And the other point, even ethnicity plays a big part and how you
Mhm.
were raised.
Sure.
I have an outline for a book that I'm going to be writing on kind of financial wisdoms and literacy and so forth. But we learn how we manage money from our parents, and them
Yes.
from their parents, and them from their
Yes.
parents. And so when you have different ethnicities, we have different cultural
Oh
bases
yeah.
that and fear facts and
Yes.
mistrust for
Yes.
various people. So it's all of those things should be taken into consideration when you're speaking to someone about your money
Yeah.
and the future of your money. I think it's very, very important. So
Yeah.
I
It's
think that would be an
so.
excellent topic.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Lastly, on that topic, I think, unless you have some other
Hmm.
questions, is I spend my time in retirement plans. I have a small, very small financial advising